Yes, yes, yes.
Make a day of it, and then have, oh, by the way, have a meeting.
I'm down with that. I go visit Rebecca Dow all the time.
Well,
So
be sure and come by and see me then.
I will. I will. Have you seen her new place?
Yes.
Right on the, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Well, her husband visits my sister.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, yeah,
Yeah. Just bring everybody down and let
Yeah.
everybody have some fun.
we're going the second weekend in August. We're going down, and she's doing her annual float. You need to. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, down the river.
Wow.
Huh? That's it.
No. Do you want to be secretary? I don't care. Yeah, I would prefer Mr. Gribby vice president because he has more experience as far as the boards go. If that's okay.
That's not okay.
Okay.
I just don't want to be a chair.
Okay. So.
Well, I got to try both of you.
Right. And then I'll serve as secretary. Since,
Cool.
Since Mr. Greer has more experience.
If Mr. Vasquez is-
We're just going to take care of the official nomination.
Okay,
Well, let's
Continue.
that's fine with
know
me.
Mr. Vasquez.
And then there's a couple of things in the
Oh, boy. At least we have 3 here.
I can
We're
do that.
4.
and then we have got it. I did write.
Okay. That's probably a good idea.
Little thing that it should,
Yeah.
but it's
Nope, I agree. I think you more than anybody, because I get just a tad, but you probably, because you've been here, you might get a lot more. People don't really not the names, I don't know. Oh, me too.
Good morning, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to call the meeting to order.
Excuse me, we can't hear you.
Is that better? Okay. So, good morning, everybody. My name is Pamela Perdica. I am the board administrator for the New Mexico Real Estate Commission. Meeting of the New Mexico Real Estate Commission is hereby called to order. It is 9:10 on June 17th. And we will do roll call. Commissioner Katnack,
Here.
Commissioner Greer,
Here.
Commissioner Fajardo.
Here.
We have a quorum. Also joining and participating in this meeting is Assistant Attorney General Douglas Wilbur with the New Mexico Department of Justice, Education Advisory Committee Chair Jen Cody, Boards and Commission staff members, Team Manager Jared Bryant, Education Administrator Scott Latham, Compliance and Investigation Team Manager Kathleen Roybal, Compliance Supervisor Andrew Hohola, Compliance Investigator G. Vivar, and Boards and Commissions Deputy Director Amanda Lewis and Director Melissa Salazar. Today's public meeting is conducted pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1 to 4. Commissioners, staff, and members of the public are joining us in person at the Greater Albuquerque Association of Realtors in Albuquerque, New Mexico. There is also a live broadcast of the meeting. The public portions of today's meeting will be recorded. The closed session of the closed portion of the meeting is not public and will not be recorded or viewable by any attendees. Items discussed in the closed session may be voted upon in the general session when the session resumes. If you are attending for continuing education credit, it is only granted for the public portion. You must have your cameras on for the duration of the meeting and register with your full name. When the commission moves to closed session, the public meeting line will remain open and all attendees will remain muted. Attending may remain in the public meeting during the closed session. Commissioners will return to the public meeting once the closed session is complete. The mission of the New Mexico Real Estate Commission is to protect the public and enhance the professional competency of real estate brokers. The New Mexico Real Estate Commission was created by state law in 1959 and charged with enforcing the real estate license law and the Real Estate Commission rules. We will now move to approve the agenda.
Mrs. Predica, I have an adjustment to the agenda, if we could. If we could go ahead and move the official nominations and voting to the top, so we can go ahead and get that done at the beginning of the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Katnack,
Yes.
Commissioner Greer,
Yes.
and Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
Okay, so the agenda for the June 17, 2024 meeting will be amended, moving section 3, 2025, sorry, moving section 3 of the agenda up to section 2.
Thank you.
And then we will be moving to approving the minutes. In your electric binder is a draft of the May 20th, 2025 special commission meeting minutes.
I approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Katnack,
Yes.
Commissioner Greer,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
The May 20th, 2025 special commission meeting minutes have been approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will now move to what is section 3 on the agenda, the official nomination and voting of officials.
I move that Commissioner Katanack be elected as chair.
Second.
Second?
Vice President.
Commissioner Katnack,
Yes.
Commissioner Greer,
Yes.
and Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
Commissioner Katnack has been elected as the president of the New Mexico Real Estate Commission unanimously.
Thank you. I move to elect Mr. Greer to be the vice president of the New Mexico Real Estate Commission. Ms.
Commissioner
Prescott, will you
Kat-
call the roll?
Commissioner Katnack,
Yes.
Commissioner Greer,
Yes.
and Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
Commissioner Greer has been elected as the vice president of the New Mexico Real Estate Commission unanimously.
I also move to make Mrs. Fajardo secretary of the New Mexico Real Estate Commission.
Second.
Commissioner Katnack,
Yes.
Commissioner Greer,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo has been elected as the secretary of the New Mexico Real Estate Commission unanimously.
Thank you. Want to go to reports?
I believe in section 3, the next would be establishing committees.
What's that?
The next would be establishing committees.
Right.
Okay, so we will establish the application committee. Want me just to name them out? And we could do them all at the same time or one at a time?
So we'll do one at a time. So we'll establish the application review committee and elect a chairperson.
Commissioner Secretary Fajardo will be the chair for that application committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Katnack,
Yes.
Commissioner Greer,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion to establish the application review committee with Commissioner Fajardo as the chair has passed unanimously.
Thank you. The next committee, we have a compliance committee. That I will be to be part of the compliance committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Katnack,
Yes.
Commissioner Greer,
Yes.
and Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
The motion to establish a compliance committee with Commissioner Commissioner Katnack as the chair has passed unanimously.
Thank you. We now have a property management advisory committee. However, we don't have a chair for that. Can that be filled at a later time since we have the committee established? Can we table that?
I think if we can we elect somebody for now until we get another commission member?
I will be the chair for that.
Okay. Okay, and is there a second? Okay, and so at this point, I guess that we don't need to go through roll call to do the election, that as president, you can go ahead and make the assignments
Okay.
as you see
thank you.
fit.
The next committee is the Rules Committee, and I nominate Vice President Greer to be the chair for that Rules Committee. What's that? I can move on to the Forms Committee? Okay.
I
And the
accept.
last committee we have is the Forms Committee, and we will have Secretary Fajardo as the chair for that.
Now we can go to reports.
You want to go into the reports? Well, I guess this is my time to kind of give a report. Since I'm appeared to be the last man standing from the prior board, I felt that it would probably be an appropriate time to kind of give my analysis over the course of the last couple of years inside private meetings and publicly. So thank you all for attending. As newly elected chair of the REC, and since I've been on the board for the past 2 years, like I said, I felt it would be an appropriate time to address a few things. For those of you that do not know who I am, my name is Alina Katna, and I don't think we had the opportunity to share who we were originally a couple of years ago when I was asked to be on the commission. I think right now, with today's circumstances, transparency is pretty important, as well as we all know that we've been having a rough time over the past couple of years. And I'm a little nervous, so you got to just please excuse me for a minute. From what we all know to be true and what we all have to do in order to become a realtor, we all have to take the same exact courses, the same exact CE classes, and pass the same exact test in order to be either associate broker or qualifying broker in the state of New Mexico. There's only one place to obtain your license. That's RLD. Before I get into the weeds of my speech, I want to use sports as an analogy, since I feel sports is such a broad and, you have so many different types of sports. There are individual, you have team sports, and typically, you naturally gear towards what type of talent you have most, what your capabilities are. Anyone to a new sport, you like to get the rules of the game before you begin. As a rookie in the Board of Commission, I didn't get those rules. At the end of the day, I didn't get Real Estate Commission 101 to say, these are what you're going to do, this is what you're not going to do, this is what your expectation is. Everything we're doing is learning as we get here. At the end of the day, there might be some slight rule changes as you excel in your profession, but I did baseball, I did softball. But the sport that I excelled the most in was track and field. It's an individual sport, but if you can run and you can make it to the finish line, you're a runner, okay? At the end of the day in real estate, you don't need to have some sort of special degree to do real estate. All you need to do is pass the test. You don't need to have a special skill to do that. If you can pass the test, all the skills and all the experience comes afterwards. Much like real estate track, you can either be on a team or you can be an individual. But my sport, again, like I said, was track. I competed at a very young age. I made it to nationals, but you wouldn't know that by looking at me. Although we still have to train every day. We still have to work on our skill. We still have to practice. We still have to interact with other people, even though it's an individual sport. Just like real estate, when you come into this profession, you are on your own. You're it. And the only amount of success that you're going to rate yourself is your closings. At the end of the day, at the end of the year, your 1099 is going to dictate how much you made and what your success rate was for yourself. Like college, football, you can redshirt, you can walk onto the playing field. You don't need to have any type of special degree to do that. However, when you're in real estate, again, you attain all of your experience and it's your own solely responsibility. You're guided with your CE courses, with your instructors, with your mentors. You become friends with people in the industry. Your qualifying broker is your guide for your do's and do nots, your updates. But at the end of the day, everybody in the room, in this room, if you're a broker, you're responsible for your own professional capacity. I started when I was 17 years old. And as a matter of fact, in 2 weeks, I will be starting my 30th year in the real estate business. I will be 47 years old. I started off in the Santa Fe County Clerk's office at 17 years old, recording warranty deeds and plats and learning at the end of the deal. I later went and did mortgage in California and bought my first house at 19 years old and was a loan processor, then later became an underwriter. I didn't get my real estate license until much later, but I do feel that my experience and my expertise and the path that I took has allowed me to become where I'm at today. But you wouldn't know that because nobody asked. So we're up here doing a job that we don't get compensated for. We're all volunteers. You know, over the course of the last couple of years, I walked into a circumstance that I didn't expect. When I was asked to be on the board, I thought it was honor. I thought I was going to be able to learn a lot, which I have, but I didn't expect this. I don't expect everybody to agree. I don't expect everybody to understand. But there are written guidelines that were established years ago that have been created long before any of these people that were in these roles right now. And to be questioned whether they're doing their job is a bit disrespectful. Again, I'm a rookie. I'm just doing my analysis. I'm just telling you what I've experienced over the past couple of years. And now that I'm sitting in this role, I'd really like things to move forward. I like there to be some transparency. I'd like there to be some professional courtesy and respect across the board. Whether you're a broker in Espanola or in Las Cruces, it would be nice to know that we're all on the same team and we're all thriving for the same goal. Now, this is my least favorite thing to do, public speaking, but I felt it was important to say what my thoughts were over the course of the year. I have nothing but respect for the real estate community at large. However, I do have some obvious discontent with some of the circumstances that have been going on. So my last thing and my last soapbox speech is really going to be the educators. I'm asking you to also be respectful in your rooms. At the end of the day, you're the direct communicators in our organizations, and you also are a partner in handing out information, whether it's positive or negative. And if you have a responsibility to your classroom as a CE and as a course instructor, do you know how intimidating it is to come in and you telling people that RLD is just a mess? Well, you're talking about all of us, especially the seasoned brokers. If you've been in the business for longer than 30 years, you have a responsibility and you should be providing some sort of be a resource. Be a resource, give back. I don't know, do community service, that's what we're doing. Because you know what, we all respect our professions enough because you know what, it's provided us a livelihood that we may or may not have had otherwise. I know as a single mom, it's provided me a different lifestyle. I can say that. So I'm asking if you call RLD or if you call any of us Board of Commissioners, be respectful. We're doing a job. We're just trying to understand what our guides and our rules are and understand the statute. Again, these were written years ago. And I don't want to be disrespectful and thinking people aren't doing their job. Just do better with your delivery. So I'm asking everybody again just to be professionally respectful across the board. I'm done with my soapbox speech. I'd like to get to business. But at the end of the day, the goal is to move forward. We I don't want anybody, again, to be disrespectful. I think everybody, you know, us brokers are a different breed. We chose not to go into government office buildings and punch a clock 8 to 5. No disrespect to them, but we need them just like they need us. So we go hand in hand. With that being said, we're going to create a new structure, and we're going to have a great relationship and a foundation. Over the course of the last couple of weeks, I've met with RLD privately, and we're going to continue to talk behind the scenes and how better organize and structure our relationships. They're not going to be perfect. Nothing with the government is. We all know that. Okay? As long as we know that, we can move forward. It's a matter of how we're going to move forward and what we're going to do that. I understand that the governor's office is seeking 2 additional commissioners to sit on the board. Again, it is the governor's appointment. It is not a popularity contest. At the end of the day, it is a serious responsibility that we're upholding here. And last thing, we've been talking about multiple licenses issues. We'd like to streamline that in order to make only 1 license. And if you're going to update it to be a qualifying broker, well, then that would be something that will be updated at that time. But we're working on not having several licenses issued to 1 individual broker to avoid further issues just administratively in the RLD, and also for us just to follow. So with that being said, I'd like just to move on to our business, but I'd like both of our new commissioners to give a little brief of who they are, because we didn't get to have that opportunity, like I said before. And I think it's important everybody know that you have people here that are seasoned.
Yes, Madam Chair. President, I keep getting corrected here. We have a president, not a chairperson. Sorry. My name's Earl Greer. I've been in the business since October of 1978. I began when it was a salesperson as opposed to a straight broker. Got my broker, and I was with a firm called Hayworth and Stutz. Many of you don't have a clue who that was, but at the time, it was the leading farm and ranch broker in the state of New Mexico. They closed their doors in '83. I moved over with Brown Realty. They were another leading farm and ranch broker in the state of New Mexico in those days. Got my broker's license in '84. I like to give the story, since we're talking a little bit here, that I challenged the broker's license without going to class. Missed it by 1. Had somebody in our office that was taking the broker class to take the broker's exam. I asked if I could read her materials over the weekend. In fact, it was McKee. Her dad used to have the dealership here. I read it over the weekend, went back and challenged the test and passed it, thank goodness. Been a broker since '84 with Brown Realty. They closed their doors in '88. There's almost a pattern there, isn't there? Then I opened Greer West Realtors, and I was with Greer West Realtors until 2002 when I moved to Elephant Butte. I call it paradise. I pity those of you that live in Albuquerque. And I bought Plaza Realty, and I've been with Plaza Realty since. It's been an exciting time for me. I've enjoyed it. One thing about our business is you get up every morning and you don't have the same thing that's going to happen that day that happened the previous day or even the previous month. I have never, in my almost 47 years, I have never sold a house. I have never sold a ranch. I have never sold a farm. I have never sold a commercial building. I have never sold any vacant land. I have been a consultant. I have been a confidant. I have been a guide. I have provided service. That's what we do, is we provide service. That's what we're licensed to do. And so as such, I'm grateful to have the opportunity that the governor's given me to serve. I was on the New Mexico Home Inspectors Board. In fact, we initiated that board and promulgated the rules and got things going in licensing the home inspectors. So if you're not happy with it, I guess I'm one person you can be mad at. Hope not. Hope we did a good job. There's still a lot to do there. And the governor's office called and asked if I would serve here. It was an honor. I thank them and thank her. And so here we are, moving forward, as our president has said, and doing things in a way that enhances our industry and certainly protects the public. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to welcome everybody. Kelly Fajardo. I actually am a retired state legislator. I represented Valencia County in the state legislature for 10 years. Retired several years ago. During my time as a legislator is when I got my real estate license. So I have a back of understanding the government side of, I have carried bills, I have voted on bills regarding the commission, regarding RLD. There's things I've tried to take away from them, things I've tried to put in their purview, all these things. And so I have that government experience. I've worked with cabinet secretaries, I've worked with staff and all of those things. So I'm honored to be here. I'm excited to bring that experience, how the sausage is made kind of experience to the Real Estate Commission, because I think I have a different perspective on a lot of things. And one thing I want to ask from everybody, not only here, but all our realtors online, is to be a little patient with us. We were kind of thrown into this. But we did it willingly, knowing there was a lot of work to do, knowing what needed to be done. We might have to rip the Band-Aid off on a few different things. Maybe we keep that Band-Aid on. We don't know. So I ask for your patience with us. I think for me personally, my door is always open. Please call me. Please, you can find me on MLS, obviously, but feel free to reach out. And so thank you, guys.
Thank you. So we should move on to the committee reports. I think Ms. Jen Cody's here with the Educational Advisory Committee.
Yes, thank you so much. So we'd like to move forward the minutes from our last meeting, our June 4th meeting. For your review, first, I'd like to see if you guys have any questions on that. And then I'd like to provide a report of what we've done this year, so you have some more context.
Thank you. Was there some? I didn't hear the first part.
Oh yeah, did you have any questions about our meeting minutes? I just wanted to see.
Oh, I don't have any questions at all.
Okay, great. Then I'll just go ahead and move what we've done this year. So we've had a lot of people present in front of the EAC, and just to give you a quick and dirty of what we've done, we've approved 16 one-time courses. We've approved 7 courses that have already been prior approved, so 7 new instructors to teach the content. We had 1 new instructor application move forward. We've had 4 new sponsors and 17 new courses. The new courses that we've approved this year that are permanent courses are the basics of escrow and settlement in New Mexico, cybersecurity's best practices, complaints, and the NMREC procedures. What the bleep do we do now, understanding the settlement and what happens next. 4-lettered words, HOA, COAs, PIDs, and SADs. The code meets the rules, association ethics. It's your transaction is your transaction at high risk for fraud? An overview of building wealth and investment real estate, working with buyers in the new era, fair housing and the history of discrimination, ethics in fair housing, handling disclosure and inspections, real estate jeopardy episode 1, due diligence, we're under contract, now what, fair housing, and mastering the modern offer, multiples, escalations, backups, and buyer sale contingencies. Just to let you know, that's not yet been approved by you, but it's in our agenda for today. So I did sneak that one in, if that's okay.
I think it's fine. Do we move to, does Scott Latham, does you have anything to add?
No, not at this time, just the approval of the minutes.
Okay, thank you. So we move for, so we can move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Katnack,
Yes.
Commissioner Greer,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
Madam President, the June 4th, 2025 Education Advisory Committee meeting minutes have been approved unanimously.
Thank you. So we move on to staff reports.
Right now, RLD does not have any comments as far as our licensing is concerned, but I believe our deputy director does.
What do you have?
Madam President, I believe the discussion at the last commission meeting was the commission should approve the recommendations of the Education Committee and not the meeting minutes. If you guys can recall the conversation, I think the commission doesn't approve the meeting minutes of another committee, but simply what is recommended within the meeting minutes. We can approve the education courses.
Well. So then I just move to adopt the recommendations that the EAC has put forth.
Yes.
Second.
Is that, okay.
So Commissioner Katnack,
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Greer,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo. Yes. Okay, so the June 4th, 2025 EAC meeting minutes have, the way they are recommended, the recommendations of the EAC minutes and the courses and instructors as recommended by EAC has been approved unanimously.
Thank you. Now we can move on to staff reports. Ms. Pamela,
I don't believe that licensing has anything to.
you might
report
have
at
to
this-
speak up a little bit louder. We can't hear you at all.
Sorry about that. I
Thank
don't
you.
believe that licensing has anything to report at this time.
Perfect, thank you. What about compliance?
Can you hear me now? Good morning, everyone. We have 21 cases we plan to discuss in closed session today, and that's all we have from compliance.
Great, thank you. That's already enough. Okay, it looks like we've already taken care of new business. Director Salazar, did you want to provide us your update on the recovery fund?
Thank you, Madam President. Something up on the screen.
Madam President, I'll just move on with my presentation, okay? So as you all know, my name is Melissa Salazar, and as of May 1st of this year, I'm serving as the full-time Director of Boards and Commissions with Regulation and Licensing Department. Prior to this appointment and over the past 2 years, I concurrently held the position of Boards and Commissions Director at the Regulation and Licensing Department and Director of Boards and Commissions in the Office of the Governor, dividing my time between both roles. During my budget presentation at the November 18th regular meeting, I reported figures regarding the real estate recovery fund that had been provided to me. Upon reviewing the data in real time, I immediately recognized that the reported number was likely inaccurate. I informed the commission at that time that the figure appeared to be incorrect and that I would need to conduct an audit to determine the proper allocation of those funds. While I acknowledge the delay in completing the audit, the months following the meeting were occupied with several pressing responsibilities. In December, I was preparing Senate rule packets for the Board of Regent conferees and addressing legislative matters in advance of the 2025 regular session. From January through March, my time was heavily committed to legislative committee meetings involving RLD boards and commissions, as well as coordinating and supporting Senate confirmation hearings. In April, I focused on finalizing my outstanding matters with the governor's office to ensure a smooth transition in my role. I was able to complete the audit in May and now prepared to present my findings to you all. My audit and analysis are based on a thorough review of the New Mexico State Auditor's reports from FY 2008 through FY 2024. Although audit reports prior to 2008 are listed on the state auditor's website, they're not available for download or review. So for that reason, my analysis begins with FY 2008. Additionally, I utilized our current licensing data from our internal database, NM Plus, to support and finalize my conclusion. The key findings of my analysis are that, refer to the chart that I gave you. On June 30th of 2008, the recovery fund balance, recovery fund, had a balance of $458,555. Sometime prior to 2008, the Real Estate Commission stopped collecting the $30 fee. Because the reports on the auditor's website do not go past 2008, I cannot tell you when they stopped collecting that $30. I have no idea. My review of the reports from 2008 to 2022 clearly show that that $30 fee was not being collected. Okay, I do not know if that came about by a motion in a meeting. I have no idea. None of us were here when that happened. Okay, so in the year 2010, at the end of fiscal year 2010, I believe, on 6/30/2010, as I had said in my budget presentation, the legislature at any time has the ability to come in and sweep funds from any fund that they see fit if they have a need for it. And that's exactly what they did in 2010. They swept $172,000 from the recovery fund, leaving a balance of $290,539. Then we go down to 6/30 of 2017. Again, the legislature came in per House Bill 311 and took $242,600 from this fund, leaving a balance of $50,012 in the recovery fund. Over the next couple of years, it accrues interest, and somehow on June 30th, 2021, there's a credit of $150,000 put back into the recovery fund. There is no note in the auditor's report where the money came from. It just says that it was a transfer interfund. So I can't tell you where that 150 came from. It's not noted anywhere. But I can tell you that it brought the recovery fund balance up to $181,970. Okay. When we implemented NM Plus, which was on December 20th, 2023, the funding code for the recovery fund was not properly integrated into the system. So the money that was being collected, the $30, was being deposited directly into the real estate commission fund rather than the recovery fund. So when I made that budget presentation in November, and I saw that that number was really low, I knew something was wrong. So I went in, got the numbers to start with from the state auditor's report, because I had to start somewhere. So I relied on those numbers to get our balance for where we were. Then I went in from December 2023 all the way to May 19, 2025, when I concluded my analysis, to determine exactly how many licenses had renewed in that time period, to determine how much money needed to be put, take it from the real estate commission fund and transfer it to the recovery fund. That amount came out to $68,280. For 2023, it was $2,220 that needed to be added to the recovery fund. In 24, it was $68,280. And from January 125 to 5/19/2025, there was an additional 55,920 that needed to be moved over, which would then bring the recovery fund to $248,800.87. While I was doing my analysis, I also saw in the auditor's report that money had been taken from the recovery fund to cover real estate commission expenses, which that was an error. It should not have happened. There, any expenses for the real estate commission out of their fund and not the recovery fund. But we did have a couple of debits in there that probably should not have been in there. So by the time we reimburse the monies that were taken out for real estate commission expenses and transfer the money that was put into this fund, the recovery fund would have a balance as of 5/19 of 307,193.47. That's the bottom line number right now. We are working with DFA to figure out how to get the transfers done to make the recovery fund whole. And we're still trying to figure out with them how we're going to get that done. So I guess the bottom line is that the recovery fund should have a balance of 307,193.47. The error has been corrected in NM Plus, so we won't have to do this again. And all of the information that is on this spreadsheet can be substantiated by all of the reports on the auditor's website. Okay? If any of you would like me questions?
You do have any questions, anybody? Commissioner?
Thank you, Ms. Salazar. I'm confused on that. You said the $30 fee, they stopped taking it in what year again?
Prior to 2008.
Okay, so and then in 2008, they started up again?
No, they did
just
not
stopped.
collect it from 2008 to 2023 when we started NM Plus.
Oh, okay, so, oh, wow, so that entire time, there was no collection whatsoever. So then the numbers at the bottom is, okay, so once you started collecting it in 2023, it mistakenly went to the commission fund and not to the recovery fund, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then the numbers, is the 122 the actual balance in the recovery fund?
The auditor's report shows a balance of 122,284. RLD's fund
Got it.
balance number is 122,380.87.
Okay, so there's a difference between the auditor and what you guys actually have.
Yes,
And then the 307 is if all that money went correctly to the recovery fund, what it would actually be, the 307.
correct.
Okay. And all the errors, and I understand the sweeping, I was there during that time. I remember. We took it all. If you had money, we took it. And so, okay, I think I understand now. So now you're trying to recover all the money to put back into the 307. Okay.
Right, because currently it has the 122,380.87.
Got it.
And we're trying to get it up to the 307, working with DFA to restore it back to that balance.
And all that money, and that's, there's interest in here. So you have an interest savings account. Again, can I just ask what the percentage is on that? Do you happen to know? If you don't,
That
that's
I
fine.
do not know.
Okay.
That
Just
I don't
curious.
know. I think that's all control. I don't even know who controls that, honestly. I'll have to find out for you.
Probably DFA, I would
That would
assume.
be my guess, but I'm not positive. And then I also want to remind you that once that account hits 400,000, let's see, It has to be maintained at, the amount of the recovery fund shall be maintained at 150,000. If it falls below that amount, we build it back up. But on July 1st of any year, if that balance exceeds 400,000, that money is transferred to the Real Estate Commission Fund, and you start over again.
All of it?
That's what the statute says. If on July 1 of any year, the balance in the fund exceeds $400,000, the amount over, the amount over 400,000 shall
Okay.
be transferred to the Real Estate Commission
Okay, so if
Fund
there's $10, the real estate commission gets the
to be
$10.
used for the purpose of carrying out the provisions of Chapter 61.
Okay, got it. And my other, and you never figured out, the commission, you said that there was money that was taken out for the commission fees or commission expenses,
Yes, and they're reflected on the chart.
but you never figured out why that happened, or you have no idea?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
and
not
that's-
sure why that happened. If I had to guess, at that time, we were building NM Plus.
Okay, miscalculation.
And my guess is they probably took the funds to help pay for the expense of the NM Plus. That's my guess.
And is there any movement to put that money back or transfer, or?
It is part of the
Okay.
307,000.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the work that this is a lot of work,
Thank you.
and so I appreciate that. Any other questions? No? So with that, I guess we'll move to public comment. So do I need to read this? So any comments may be made at the beginning of the meeting, but the chair reserves the right to place time limits on the length of time each person is given. If the schedule requires, members may ask questions for clarification, but may not engage in a substantive discussion or take formal action unless noticed in the meeting agenda. Comments will be taken under advisement, and response may be issued at a later time or may be placed on the agenda of a future public meeting for discussion or action.
At this time, there's been no pre-registered members of the public wishing to speak during the meeting today, but I'm not sure if there's any in person.
Thank you. Anybody in person have anything? Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Madam President, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to offer public comment today. My name is George Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Commercial Association of Realtors, CCIM New Mexico, the Institute of Real Estate Management New Mexico, and the Society of Industrial and Office and Realtors New Mexico. I'm here today to respectfully express some concerns regarding transparency and consistency in the Education Advisory Committee process, specifically as it relates to course application reviews and public access. First, I would like to raise an issue about the EAC's practice of entering closed session during each meeting. Under the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, specifically subsection 10-15-1H, public bodies may only enter closed session for specific and limited reasons. These include discussions related to personnel matters, threatened or pending litigation, issuance, suspension, renewal, or revocation of licenses, deliberations and administrative adjudicatory proceedings, certain real estate transactions, and confidential contents of competitive proposals solicited through a competitive sealed proposal process. Nowhere in the statute is course approval, particularly for CE courses, listed as justification for a closed session. Course approval is a regulatory function involving public interest and therefore should remain an open session. The EAC, as an advisory body created by this commission and acting in a governmental capacity, is subject to the Open Meetings Act, just like the commission itself. Moving into closed session for matters not authorized under the law risks appearing to evade public oversight and undermines the commission's commitment to transparency. Another concern relates to access to EAC meeting minutes. I recently received a response from the board administrator stating that EAC minutes cannot be released until approved by the commission and will be posted approximately 10 days after the commission meeting. However, under subsection 10-15-1G, NMSA 1978, minutes of meetings during which public business is discussed or acted upon must be kept and made open to public inspection. The New Mexico Attorney General's Open Meetings Act Compliance Guide further clarifies that draft minutes are public records under the Inspection of Public Records Act and must be made available upon request. As a matter of practice, draft commission minutes are made available to the public without a formal IFR request, and the same standards should apply to the EAC. Equal treatment and transparency fosters trust and supports accountability. I'd also like to address the lack of definition and guidance surrounding how the EAC operates, particularly in the context of course classifications. Currently, the New Mexico Administrative Code does not define what qualifies as a property management course, nor does it provide criteria for how course content should be evaluated under that classification. Likewise, the EAC does not appear to have any publicly available or commission-approved guidelines that explain how such classifications are determined. If internal criteria exist, they have not been published or communicated to course sponsors or instructors. This lack of clarity makes it difficult for applicants to understand how to design or justify their courses and creates a process that can appear inconsistent and arbitrary. In a regulatory setting, again, transparency, clarity, and accessibility of these standards are essential to fairness and public confidence. Finally, I would like to raise concern about the committee's conduct during these meetings. When a course application is presented and the committee does not seek any questions or clarification on content, it leaves both course sponsors and instructors uncertain about how decisions are being made. While the EAC may not be legally required to ask these questions according to statute, actively engaging with course sponsors and instructors can foster a more collaborative environment and lead to stronger educational offerings. The committee's role should be seen as one of encouraging and guiding high-quality content, not merely gatekeeping it. By working constructively with sponsors and instructors, especially when clarification is needed, the EAC can promote continuous improvement in real estate education. I would encourage this commission to consider becoming more directly involved in the EAC process and to take action on the concerns outlined here today. Even the occasional observation or participation in EAC meetings by commissioners could help reinforce transparency, support consistent standards, and show course sponsors and instructors that the commission is engaged and invested in the education process. Additionally, I ask the Commission to consider directing the EAC to align its practices with the Open Meetings Act, publish any existing internal guidelines, and clarify expectations around course classification. These steps would help ensure that the committee's work is better aligned with the broader values and responsibilities of the Commission. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Doesn't appear that there's anybody else, Madam President.
Are we good to go to? Do we want to go to?
Madam President, there is a
disciplinary
hand
matters?
raised by a
Oh.
attendee.
Yeah.
Commend the commission and the education for the changes to assist with more education of property managers and the requirements regarding licensure renewals, because that has been lacking. But we're still suffering a deficit in property management classes. I agree that we need those hours for property managers, but I do not think there are enough classes. I would be more than happy to volunteer to assist with any educational committee in development of the course material. If there's anything I can do to help, I just wanted to put that out there. It's a wonderful idea, but I think we need a little more substance behind it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else have public comment? Doesn't look like it. I think it's time for the commission to move to a closed session for the purpose of discussing the disciplinary matters listed on the agenda. All brokers attending for continuing education credit may log off. You will not receive credit for the closed session portion. I move that the Real Estate Commission enter into closed session to discuss the items listed on the agenda as authorized by the Licensing and Administrative Education exception of the Open Meetings Act, NMSA 10-15-1, H1, 3, and 7, authorizing closed session for matters related to issuance, suspension, renewal, or revocation, or a license. Do I have a second? Thank you. Ms. Predica, will you call roll?
Commissioner Katnack,
Yes.
Commissioner Greer, Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
Madam President, the motion to enter closed session has been approved unanimously.
Thank you. Let the record show the commission entered into closed session at 10:05 a.m. We are off the record. Ms. Predica, please stop the recording.
I'll get you started. It's a lot of fun. It keeps you in the loop of everything. Mostly what we referee is 18 and under. Mostly. Yeah. Totally. If you have any interest, let me know. You have a background, so we're always looking for somebody. It is a lot of travel. It's a lot of time. From January